There's a place in the Canterbury High Country where the land holds a memory older than any name we have given it. Castle Hill, Kura Tāwhiti, is widely regarded as the most sacred site in Aotearoa, New Zealand. Here, within these soaring towers of limestone, stood the greatest Whare Wānanga in the land, the highest school of learning in all of Aotearoa, where the ancient law was taught, held, and passed down across generations. This is a place that has been recognised as sacred by every culture that has ever stood within it. Castle Hill's been known by many different names, each carrying a different layer of understanding and history. Together they tell the story of a place recognised as extraordinary across many ages and people. English settlers called it Castle Hill, drawn from the fortress-like limestone formations that, from a distance, resemble the ramparts and towers of an ancient stronghold. In 2002, the Dalai Lama stood amongst these stones and famously described Castle Hill as the spiritual centre of the universe, a place where heaven and earth come together. But long before either of these names, this place was known to Māori as Kura Tāwhiti, the treasure from a distant land. For Waitaha, the name also carries an ancestral memory of the canoe Arai Te Uru, under the command of Tamatea Mai Tāwhiti, travelling far across the ocean to South America and returning with Kumara, a sweet potato. In this telling, Kura Tāwhiti may quite literally refer to a treasure brought back from a distant land, a gift that carried sustenance, peace, and continuity. Before any of these names, this place carried an even older identity. Waitaha traditions tell of early Polynesian explorers who understood the South Island as Te Waka Aotearoa o ngā Atua, the Waka of the Gods, a sacred vessel imbued with immense spiritual power. On an ocean-going waka, the Tohunga sat at the centre, where the most sacred stones were kept, and so it was believed that at the very centre of this island lay the most sacred stones and the heart of the land itself. One of those early explorers was Māui Tiki Ataranga. Guided by vision or by the knowledge of those who came before him, Māui journeyed to the centre of the island. What he found here were soaring towers of limestone, the keepers of the ancestors, rising unexpectedly from the surrounding land. Māui recognised this place as Te Kōhanga o ngā Atua, the birthplace of the gods. It was here that Māui asked the gods for permission for his people to live upon these islands, and in exchange he made two promises: that his people would care for the land, and that he would bring the peace child, the Kumara, to this place. These were not gestures, they were a covenant, binding all who followed across generations. Today Kura Tāwhiti is formally recognised as Wāhi Tapu, a sacred place, and holds tupuni status under Ngāi Tahu settlement. Tupuni reflects the ancient concept of a chiefly cloak placed over a landscape to affirm its protection and ongoing significance. As you walk up into the first area of rocks, you enter Te Kōhanga, the sacred nest. Here the land itself forms a bowl. Limestone towers surround you on all sides. The feeling is grounded and welcoming, as though the place receives you and holds you. Sound softens, movement slows, and attention turns inward. According to Waitaha tradition, Te Kōhanga was a marae and gathering place for the tribes that resided here. At the centre, a shallow depression holds water in the cooler months, drying to a dust bowl in summer. Near the middle of this basin, an active earth energy point has been identified, where two ley lines cross. And beneath this basin a sacred spring rises from within the rock itself. Emerging from the northern side is a small stream, supporting the healing and nurturing qualities that many people feel in this place. Castle Hill draws many kinds of visitors: walkers, photographers and climbers who come for the world-class bouldering the limestone offers. But some come specifically to experience the energy of this place, and for them Te Kōhanga is a place of activation, remembrance, grounding and uplift. People sit quietly among the stones, lie against the warm limestone, sing or hold ceremony. From Te Kōhanga, a prominent line of stones leads upwards towards the ridge. In the writings of Barry Brailsford, this ascent is described as a path of graduated initiation, the 7 staging stones, or the 7 levels of learning. Each stone marked a level of inner development, indicators of achievement attained by those trained in what was described as the University of the Old Law. The climb is steep and demanding, but that was always a part of it, the physical effort mirroring the inner work required to progress. The ridge above Castle Hill is known as the Ridge of the Tohunga. On its slopes, various schools of learning were established, where the ways of the ancients were taught to the chosen ones, where knowledge was preserved through the disciplines of the Whare Wānanga, the sacred school of higher learning. The ridge was also known as Pari Nui a Rangi, the hill of the Starwalkers. Those who worked with celestial knowledge were known as Starwalkers, navigators between sky and land, who understood how the movement of the sun, moon and stars mapped onto the rhythms of the earth. Here a young initiate might spend many long nights watching the stars with a tohunga in patient apprenticeship. A natural formed rock shaped like a great chair marks the place where the tohunga sat to read the stars and foretell the weather, not just for the following day but for seasons ahead, based on readings of the upper atmosphere under these clear mountain skies. In the centre of the ridge sits a tall limestone figure of quiet dignity. This is Kai Hau Tu, the great trailmaker and navigator. Several generations after Māui, Kai Hau Tu dedicated his life to continuing Māui's vision by walking the land and binding its landmarks to the stars. 5 earth energy lines meet at this stone formation, and the energy is distinctly masculine, strong, directional, outward facing. When he knew he was dying, Kai Hau Tu asked to be carried from Hokitika on the west coast back over the mountains to Te Kōhanga, the sacred centre he had spent his life serving. It was his final journey, and he is remembered here in stone, with his gaze fixed on the mountains. At the far end of the ridge stands the most imposing of all the formations on this ridge, a towering limestone figure, enormous and organic, shaped to stand among the stars. This is Marotini the Kūmara Goddess, her presence dominating the ridge with a powerful expansive energy that is distinctly feminine. 5 earth lines meet at this stone. Marotini was remembered as a woman who carried the accumulated knowledge of many generations of gardeners. It was she who led the gardening people of the Waitaha to Te Kōhanga to fulfill the promise Māui had made to Papatūānuku, to bring the Kumara, the peace child, to this sacred centre and grow it here. This was no simple undertaking. To nurture a frost-tender plant in an alpine basin at 3,000 feet demanded exceptional skill and dedication. Yet the gardeners succeeded and continued to harvest for many generations. It is for the gardening law that she laid down here, and the commitment she embodied, that she is remembered and honoured on this ridge. Almost exactly midway between Kai Hau Tu and Marotini stands a third formation, smaller than either and easily overlooked, but described by Dowser Hamish Miller as the most significant energy centre in the entire area. Where the 2 larger stones carry strong individual presences, the headstone holds the balance between them, An active curving energy line passes through all three formations, connecting masculine and feminine in a single arc. Its energy has been described as sparkling and confident, a quality at odds with its modest scale. Kura Tāwhiti is a place of two registers. Below, in Te Kōhanga, the energy is warm and enveloping. The land holds you close, inviting stillness, memory and return. It was a place for everyone, travellers, gardeners, gatherers, those seeking healing or ceremony. Above on the ridge of the Tohunga, everything opens. The energy here is clear and expansive, oriented outward towards the stars and the long horizon. This was a place for the few, those who had walked the 7 levels and earned the right to stand among the ancestors. Together they form what Māui recognized when he first stood here, a place where earth and sky meet, where the promises made at the beginning of time are still held, in the birthplace of the gods. You can find the full story on the Woven Paths website. The link is below. Subscribe for more explorations of New Zealand's sacred sites, and I'll see you at the next one.